Good evening, everyone. Once again, we're live streaming from the Baiting Hollow Hummingbird Sanctuary, and of course, we're looking at the moon. We don't have much choice because the moon is so bright. It's drowning out a lot of other things. So let's make hay while the moon shines, as the saying goes. And here is the moon, and I'm going to try and show you also a high power view of the moon. It'll just take me one moment to set that up here. I need to undo that and then do that and do that. No, I need to undo that and do that and then do that and then do that. Okay, so unfortunately, what we're looking at here, the arrow is pointing at an interesting and very ancient crater called Plato, and I'll get the arrow exactly, the tip of the arrow on Plato. Unfortunately, it is very windy tonight, so there are sudden jerks in the position of the moon. And also, there is some cloud that's been plaguing us all evening. And in just a moment, I hope to be able to switch you over to, let me see if I can get this here. We want that. That, I think, perhaps. No, there we go. Okay. So now here is the high power view of the moon, and I'm going to point out the crater Plato on the high power view of the moon, and that's going to be right there. Okay. So if we look at the low power view of the moon, the tip of the arrow is pointing at the crater Plato, and if we look at the high power view of the moon, my red dot here is next to the crater Plato, and of course cloud is coming over and obscuring our view, but hopefully it will just be fleeting. I might be able to adjust the position just slightly, move it over to the right just a tad, and move it up just a tad. So now let's once again point out the crater Plato here. Okay. We'll have to wait for this cloud to drift by. Well, it's unfortunately it's thickening. You can just about make out something on the low power view there of the moon, and I can point out once again the crater Plato disappearing once again. And this crater Plato is right next to one of the largest of the lunar seas here, called the Sea of Rains. It's an ancient lava plain, and then there's this little bay which is called Sinus Iridum. I think that means the Iridium Bay. Okay. Now the other feature I want to point out while we're on the low power view, well, very quickly let's look over here at the Sea of Serenity and the Sea of Tranquility and the Sea of Crises. But going back now to this very large basaltic lava flow plain, which was in part created by a gigantic impact, apparently around 4 million years ago, shortly after the moon formed. A small planet hit the moon in this area and created this immense crater, which then filled with lava, which is why it looks dark on this image. Then just up here, this is a crater that we looked at a couple of nights ago, but really with a different illumination. The moon is much fuller now, and you can clearly see the rays coming out from this crater in all directions. Now if we go back to the high power view, we can see all these features, but of course in greater magnification. And in particular here you can see that crater Copernicus. And now you can see the spectacular system of rays, they're called, these white lines radiating out from Copernicus crater here. And Plato crater has drifted off just a little bit. I'll try and bring it back. And there it is. Okay, so now Copernicus crater is up here. The rays are coming out in all directions, along here, and down here we have the crater Plato, and suddenly everything blackens out because of the cloud. Anyway, that is something we'll just have to put up with. And then here is the Sea of Rains, which was a massive crater created by the collision of a planet with the surface of the moon nearly 4 billion years ago. And apparently it literally shattered the outside layer of the moon, and the shock waves created other craters on the other side of the moon. All right, disappeared because of cloud, and if the cloud doesn't dissipate soon, we will have